Thank you for coming to this little breakout session. My name is Dawn. I'm a film makeup artist, and so what that means or how that translates here is I've just had my hands on a lot of faces, and they've been moving targets. They're people having conversations. I do it in a hurry because of schedule. I've also been a caregiver. I've had a taste of it. My mom lived with my family and I for a year, and she had liver disease, and so she would go through periods of having dementia-like symptoms because of the non-function of her liver. So I have a lot of empathy and compassion for caregivers, especially all of you in the long-term category with that. So, and with that, I have so many pleasant memories of that time with my mom. It was a very stressful time. In hindsight, I wish I had enjoyed it more and relaxed more and not been stressed out, but you know, that's in the thick of it. But as a makeup artist and working with a lot of different people, skin tones, ethnicities, ages, I figured out things that work for most people. So that's the flyer. If you didn't get one, they're here, and you can email me if you want the emailed flyer, and I can send you the one with the links on it. But all the links are to Amazon, and so all these products you can find at drugstores, Amazon, most supermarkets. So along those lines, I am happy to take questions and let this be a really collaborative session with you. And you all are in the thick of it, so you have a lot to share as well. So please ask questions or make comments if you have anything along the way. I've prepared a few things to share with you, but we can derail that for what is important to you today. I thought we'd just start with skin. So skin, everyone has skin, male or female. So how many of you are caretaking a male? All right, and female. So a few of you. Okay, wonderful. Makeup is third on my list, and it is going to be so simple. If you're female, you've probably, put on makeup at some point in your life, or you do it daily, but putting that on someone else can be a different experience. So I'm happy to share any practical tips that way if you have any questions. But let's start with skin. So we live in Utah, dry climate. Cleansing the skin is really important. I put on there a Cerave Moisturizing Creamy Cleanser. And so a product like that. So it's not something that's going to get really foamy or bubbly unless your loved one needs that if they're really oily skinned, but you don't want to strip their skin of that natural barrier. So I would use something as gentle as possible, something made for the face, which means don't use body wash, don't use bar soap on the facial skin because it will be really drying. So a creamy cleanser on a washcloth, or however best for your loved one. And that could be a little cleansing disposable wipe. I don't heavily recommend these for daily use because they can just be kind of hard on the skin, but for nighttime or quick times, just these are about in every brand, and generic is they're just disposable face wipes. So that's also a good option for cleaning the skin. The other thing we need to do is protect the skin, and I love Cerave also has this daily moisturizing lotion, and I love this because it's not greasy, and you can use it on hands, you can use it on faces, it's not going to clog pores. This one is formulated for normal to dry skin, but I even find for people with oily skin, it's not too heavy. It's Cerave Daily Moisturizing Lotion. And so again, this is great for faces, it's great for hands. I mean, who doesn't like their hands rubbed? So take that moment when you're caring for your loved one to moisturize their hands as well as their face. It really is up to you how comfortable you are touching someone else's face. So if you're not comfortable with that, you can also use something like a disposable foam wedge. And like I said, these are disposable, so you could use them a couple of times and then toss them. And if you're being really practical, you can wash them with soap and water and let them dry out and reuse them. But once they, get a good use or a one-time use, you can toss them. And so this is a good way to apply facial moisturizer. It's really soft and soothing to the person that you're caregiving for. Another thing you could do is use a makeup brush. And I just brought some really simple ones. I didn't put these on the sheet. These are from Real Techniques. They're inexpensive and they work really great. I use these all the time. This is another great way to put on moisturizer. It's really soft. It's less, it just is really your preference on how tactile you want to be. A lot of makeup artists for years have used their hands, a lot use brushes, so it's really up to you. So this is a nice way to do that as well.
So with that lotion, they washed out, you can wash those brushes pretty easily.
Yeah, so makeup brushes, that is a great question. So makeup brushes work best if they're clean. And so that's usually if you're using this on one person, I would wash it every 1 to 2 weeks because it will start to accumulate lotion, body oils, bacteria, especially if it's moist. So the best way to do that is have your brush turned down because you never want to run water into it. You have your brush turned down and you run some warm water, and you can use a brush cleanser, or you can use a gentle shampoo or even a dishwashing soap and put a little bit of soap in your hand. And then I like to do more of a back and forth rather than a circle because you can create knots in the inside of your brush, but a back and forth and give it a good scrub, and then gently squeeze the water out and then reform the brush, kind of put it back where it's supposed to be, and then I put it on the side of a counter, and then that air can circulate. And the best thing about Utah being dry is that things dry quickly. So this should be dry.
Put it back in a holder where it's held and have it dry?
You could do that, but if it's wet and gravity, water goes down into this furrow, that's called, and that's glued in there. And so water over time will help loosen that glue, and your brush just won't last as long. Like I said, this brush is inexpensive, but I have ones like this that I've used very heavily doing makeup professionally, and I've had the same brush for 15 years because you take care of them. So brushes can last a long time, and so just watch out for water. But washing them is really important, and that was a great question. The after moisturizer, which is great morning and evening, I like to use a sunscreen during the day. This one is really popular. It's a really good one. I'll just put it on my hand here. It's tinted, so it's a moisturizer, but it's not white. And I think it's a sunscreen and a moisturizer. It's not, doesn't give that white cast, so you won't have this chalky business that you're trying to rub in. This one is really nice because it just blends right into the skin, and they have a few different shades of this on Amazon, this brand. It's a little pricier, so a little more of a price tag on it, but it's just really light, and it doesn't leave any sticky or like that white cast on it. And this is nice too, especially for maybe a female that would have liked to have had makeup on or used to wear makeup or apply it herself. This almost has like a little bit of a tinted moisturizer look to it. So you're getting a little bit of coverage, but most important, you're getting sun coverage because we want to take our loved ones outside, especially during the nice weather, and we want to protect their skin from the elements. And so this is a good sunscreen. I really like, I had to do a little search. This is similar to a Neutrogena one, and I don't know if they make the Neutrogena one anymore compared to Neutrogena Ultra Sheer Face Mist, but sunscreens in general, I like to buy the ones that are made for the face, then they're not greasy. Because just lathering on sunscreen on someone, it's gonna be melting off, or they're feeling sticky, or it's getting on their clothes. The nice thing about sunscreens made for the face is they're not greasy. And this one's a little spray, so it's really easy to put on. You can spray it in your hand and apply it. You can spray it directly on, depending on your person, if they don't mind that. So I really like this one. This one's from CVS. You're welcome to pass it around if you want to. Yeah, I found that because I was looking for the Neutrogena version, did a little homework, couldn't find that one this year, so I found that one at CVS just a couple of weeks ago. Any questions on sunscreen?
That L to MD is wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't sting your eye. A lot of it, even the Neutrogena facial one, they sting your eyes. Even
Yeah.
if it's near your eye, you can get the fumes. And
Yeah.
it stings. And if someone can't really communicate to you that their eyes are, can you imagine how they'd be suffering in
Yeah.
silence?
That's a really good point.
L to MD is, it doesn't, you can rub right on your eyelids. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't hurt.
That is a really good
And
point
you can order
because
it at
of,
Walmart. It's
yeah,
like 18 or 19.
that's a good price because I think on Amazon it's in the $30 to $40 range. So that is a really good point about skin sensitivity. So most of the things I'm recommending, I've never had anyone have a reaction to, but pay attention to your loved one's skin sensitivity because, yeah, they might have stinging or burning and might not be able to communicate that to you. So watch for those signs, watch for redness or irritation, and change products if you're seeing that, or kind of do some detective work to figure out what it is. But you can always purchase items made for sensitive skin, even if your person isn't known to have sensitive skin, because that can develop or you just never know. That's a really good point. Any questions about sunscreen or facial cleansing, moisturizing? Okay, next is my favorite product of all time, Aquaphor. I use it on lips, I use it on little cuts, or hangnails, or extra dry skin. And the nice thing about this product, or ones like it, is that it's the molecule's too big to clog the pores. So it can sit on top of the skin, it can create the barrier. I'll sometimes put moisturizer on and then put this on over it just to seal all that moisture in, especially if it's someone with dry skin or it's winter. Or another trick I like to use, I didn't bring any Q-tips, but I'll put some on a Q-tip and just barely go on the inside of someone's nose if it's hay fever season, or if they've had a cold and they're just really dry on the inside. That little bit of Aquaphor on the inside of their nose can take that tickle away that sometimes cold or allergies brings. As well as give that some soothing moisture. So Aquaphor is a really good product. I also use it on baby bums, so it works for adult bums too. I joke that baby bums are a lot cuter than adult bums to clean, but there's the necessity. And Aquaphor is a really good help for any irritation for that. And then just a quick note on wound care. If your person has a small scratch or a burn or some kind of skin irritation, this is a really good product to keep the skin moist while it heals, so that scabs aren't getting dry and tearing and kind of recreating the injury. If you keep them moist, that will help with healing.
So is this a product you'd recommend too? As a caregiver, I wash my hands a lot.
Yeah.
And especially with COVID, I wash my hands a lot. And so they'll get dried out and start to crack. Is that something that you'd also recommend?
For sure. I don't know that this is always for sure at night. It doesn't, the fact that it sits on top of the skin sometimes just doesn't feel like it's actually really moisturizing, but I like to put my moisturizer of choice, so the Cerave on, and then put this on over it. So especially at nighttime, on dry cuticles, dry patches, tops of hands, wherever you get dry or your person gets dry, Aquaphor is a really good barrier. Yeah.
You can only get it on Amazon?
No, you can get all these products at really any drugstore or supermarket, but I just put Amazon links just for ease on the sheet. Any other questions on my favorite thing, Aquaphor? Okay. All right.
I do have, I guess
Yeah.
I have a question. You were talking about putting a little on the nose.
Mm-hmm.
My mother can use oxygen at night.
Mhm.
Sometimes her nose is irritated, plus she forgets that she's attached to it. Would that be a good thing?
Yeah.
Other ideas?
I would think that would be a good thing. She was saying that her mother wears oxygen at night, and so she gets irritated around the nose. I would just be careful that you're not getting too much of it on your equipment, or just cleaning the equipment daily or often.
Well, her oxygen levels are reading fine, but I sometimes think Let's try it.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
she'll sleep a little longer.
Right? That would be good for everyone, right?
And with the tubing put in my husband's nose, we throw those out too and get new.
Oh, yeah,
There you
have to
go.
throw 'em out.
You don't have to.
No cleaning, you just
Yeah.
throw them away.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would think for any of those irritated spots, friction, yeah, that would be nice. That's a good point.
I can run it over whenever I want to get extras.
Yeah.
They didn't deliver enough.
Yeah, I didn't put these on the list, but I think Neutrogena does a really good job with relatively inexpensive skincare. I really like their little gel eye cream. It's not greasy. This is just a serum. Any of these things pair well with the Cerave Daily Moisturizing. And the Cerave one has some generics. So I think Walgreens, Target, Walmart all have a generic of that's a few dollars cheaper than even the Cerave. So that's a good option. I think I'm going to move on from skincare unless any of you have any questions. All right. The other thing too is, whether you're doing the grooming for your loved one. I got to have a nice chat with Marsden, and when he was caring for Lynette, he had a niece or someone show him how to do her makeup and her hair, which I think is a really nice thing. So that was a service that he provided to her, and now someone else is providing in her care center. She gets her hair fixed and a little bit of grooming done every day. And so if that's a situation where it's not always you, or just keeping it all in one place, like a little container and maybe with a label. The other thing I didn't say is clean hands to start with. Your clean hands are really important, or whoever is doing the grooming. So hand sanitizer or like sanitary wipes are a good thing to keep in your box. Aloe vera, that's a good question. I don't know a ton about it, but I imagine it even being layered with,
As long as it's clear and
yeah, and I would just try it with your loved one on their skin and just make sure it works for them. Test a little spot before you slather anything new on is always a good idea. All right, I'm going to stick things away as we use them. I'm going to move on to hair care. Go ahead.
one other question I had is, when I brought my husband home from the hospital, they sent a package of adult wipes, adult clean cleanser.
Mm-hmm.
Is that not abrasive, or is that fine?
I would think they're fine. Were they for bathing or for bathing wipes? I would say they are great because that's what they're made for. I would just maybe follow it with a moisturizer so that you're not just stripping the skin and then never replenishing moisture. So I think they're great for what they are, and especially where if bathing is a hard thing that you're not able to do daily, then the wipes or a soapy washcloth is a really good option, and then follow that with a moisturizer.
I have just a package of baby wipes where he can always access them there in the bathroom area that he doesn't want to use a washcloth, and that's been helpful. 'Cause
Yeah.
I don't have to monitor that.
Yeah, that is a great tip. Baby wipes are a great tool.
Find the flushable ones because
Yeah.
They're bigger.
She's saying flushable because not all wipes break down through the plumbing system, so they can clog up
They
plumbing.
also ask us not to use them in our systems.
Ah.
The big sanitary or whatever, it clogs the
no,
system.
Yeah.
I have a home that's 65 years old, and sewer lines are expensive.
Yeah. So maybe just toss those and not flush them,
Yeah.
especially.
But you can't watch them all the time, so make sure everything that's paper is can go in the toilet. And then I learned from my grandmother, make sure you use the hand-sized towel because sometimes the little washcloth can go in the
Ooh,
toilet too.
that gets flushed accidentally.
Well,
Yeah.
it doesn't do well trying to get flushed. So
No, that's a
I
mess.
use hand towels now.
Hand towels.
Because I'm expecting prevention.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Hand towels for cleansing and washing. now we'll just move on to hair. A little bit about grooming the face. I've got just, it looks like a mascara wand. It's called a spoolie, and this is a great tool to brush eyebrows with. And then I've got some little round tip scissors, and that rather than the really sharp tips, these are really a safer option than a regular scissor with a pointy tip, and just in case there's a movement or a slip, so there's not any chance of cutting the person's skin. And so as men and women, eyebrows continue to grow, so trimming those is a really good idea. I usually like to brush them all the way up and then just take the scissors and just trim the crazy hairs coming above the brow, and because that will give them just a much cleaner appearance. The thing I didn't really start with at the beginning of this is as I was thinking about this presentation, I thought, is caring for your loved ones in this way, grooming or hair or makeup, is that for me or is that for my loved one? And I think it's complicated. It's really up to you, but it really is about preserving the dignity and the identity of your loved one that you're caring for. So when my mom had lucid moments, she was didn't want the chicken butt, like the bedhead hair, so we tried to fix her hair and get her dressed like as she would normally be. And then some days that didn't matter as much because we were caregiving in other ways. So that's really a personal thing between you and your family and group of caregivers and your loved one that you're caring for. But back to eyebrows. So trimming eyebrows, and then this, tweezing gets tricky because tweezing is painful. And you don't want to create a painful experience, because the next time you come at them with your tools, they're not gonna, they're gonna resist.
The short-term memory is there.
Right, and painful memories are probably the ones that stick. So this is called a brow shaver or a brow shaper, and you can find them in the little tool section at the drugstore, and they are, what's that?
It'll take the lower hair?
Yeah, so these are great. So you can use these in the brow area. You can use them when you get the little chin hairs. Sometimes men get the hair up here on their cheekbone that is, facial hair, and it's just comes up here, or you miss a spot when you're shaving. And these are little razors wrapped in wire, so they are sharp, but it's a little more protected. So you can just trim that little hair. I'll just do it right here on my wrist. You can hear it kind of cutting the hair, but it's like a razor, so it's just cutting it, so it's not painful like tweezing. And these are at the drugstore by like the nail clippers and tweezers. And if you search brow shaper or shaver on Amazon, you can find them as well. And they are a razor, so they'll get dull, and then you just throw them away. So over time. And then I always like to, of course, professionally I have to do this, but I keep rubbing alcohol in a little spray bottle, or you could use the little wipes so you can clean your little tools just like you clean your makeup brushes in your hands, as often as needed. So a little bottle of rubbing alcohol or the alcohol wipes are great. Any questions about grooming or trimming brows? My husband's in the back, he's running the camera. He frequently runs away when I'm trying to tell him it's time to tweeze, but less painfully we can trim his brows, and I can make him come up and we'll trim them right here if you guys want to see. All right, come on up, Rick. He did volunteer if I needed a model. I like to tease him too. Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm a believer in practical tips, so I hope you can take away one practical tip from today.
I had no idea about that.
Yeah, so I always tell Rick he's got the gift for growing hair, so his brows we have to trim, we could trim them every week. So I'll just brush that up, and then I'll kind of hold the little brush there. You could use a comb as well, and then just pull that up and then just trim. And then kind of go along. And you could trim ear hair, you can trim, just any place that needs a little trim this way. Switch the scissors. And I did, I was laughing during the pointy scissors because I did cut his eyelid a couple of years ago, and rightfully he ran away from me for a while when I said it was time to trim his brows. But that's as easy as it is. It's just that lightly pull up, and you can see the kind of the crazies, the long hairs appear, and then really you can steady your hand against their skin, so then if they move, you can like move away and you're not gonna stab anybody or stab them in the eye with the scissors. Thanks, Rick.
You're welcome. I was just gonna add in that I love that. Sometimes I get little flakes of skin, just dry skin underneath my eyelashes. It's common with men, my friends, and she'll take that and just brush it out with that. It's really gentle, but it does the job of doing that.
Yeah, thank you. Wow.
You're lucky.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
That was good. How about these little hairs that older people like me?
That is great. These are great for that. And I'll have someone in my makeup chair and they might have a little bit of like peach fuzz or darker hair, and you may not see it. And especially as eyes age and you need readers, you don't even see that stuff anymore. And so this is the best way, discreetly, just to trim that hair, and then you don't even have it anymore. Because sometimes, like, even if the facial hair isn't thick or dark, it just creates a shadow. So it for a woman, it creates this little mustache shadow that she probably didn't have earlier in life and doesn't like.
The electrolysis is gone.
The electrolysis is gone. Hair keeps growing.
I've used one since I've been about 12.
Yeah. Yeah, so these are great little tools for any little facial hair, any spots. Suzette, how much time do I have? Like now?
Just to probably about 3 minutes.
Okay, cool. So hair washing. So we all know hair washing, showering, depending on the temperament and condition of your loved one, you may have, a little more time to get them clean, or they're, trying to dash out of the shower. Any 2-in-1 products you can use. I am a fan of spending money where you need to and saving it where you can. So I'm not advocating, I hope, any high-priced items that are undoable for most people, but like Head and Shoulders, if they have a little 7 minutes. So like a 2-in-1 shampoo is great, especially for men. Women might need a little more conditioner, or if someone has really dry or coarse hair, they may need a separate conditioner. So washing hair, really getting the back of the head scrubbed, maybe even shampooing twice, and that will help you go a little longer between shampooings. And then I put it on there, I forgot to bring mine, the wet brush, and it's a link on there. It's a really good all-around hairbrush, and it has a really a little tip on the end of the bristle, so it's really soft on your head. And what a nice thing. We all like to have our hair brushed and to have that relaxing time, so what a nice thing to do with your loved one if that's something they would enjoy, is to brush their hair. So brushing it after they bathe or shower, or after it's dry, and that could be the end of the hairstyling and grooming, or your person might be willing to let you curl their hair with a heat tool. And I forgot my hair dryer, or so my curling iron as well, but my biggest tip for curling hair, and because once again, we don't want to burn our person, and we don't want to leave that memory of it being a painful experience. So if I ever have a heat tool and I'm out here, I always put my other hand in between my their skin and the tool, so I can feel if that's getting close, or I burn myself and not their face. So that's a really good way to prevent any accidents that way. Any questions about hair care?
You should have hair gel, pomade, and hairspray on here.
Those are just optional. So if you're caregiving for a man, you might need a heavier product if that's the way they style their hair, or that's the way you want to style it. It's just you find a simple product like a hair gel or a pomade or a little bit of hairspray. Another way to use hairspray is, a lot of times I'll spray it directly on the comb and then brush it through the hair, so you're not spraying and possibly breathing it in or getting it in their eyes or their skin.
So I was just thinking, for those people who struggle to get their hair washed at all,
Mm-hmm.
what can you do?
that is a good question. There is dry shampoo. You don't want to use dry shampoo for too many days in a row because it can start to like clog the skin on the scalp, but it's awesome for that in-between time. And they have the shake-on kind, they have the spray-in kind. Yeah, especially for those back and those underneath areas. It's great for that, where that might get a little more like sweat or oil. Find a dry shampoo, and there's some really good ones like Dove. I really like theirs, and it's inexpensive, and there's kind of the whole price range on dry shampoo. Rick?
I've never used it. Is it the same use? Would you be able to use it on a man with short hair, a woman with long hair? Is dry shampoo?
Yeah, good question. So they come in different forms, and they have them if you have black hair or your loved ones has dark hair, black hair. Some of them can leave kind of a white cast.
Powder.
Yeah, so a powdery, then hair ends up looking kind of grayish. So they have some with different tints in them, so they have them for dark hair. But I usually will just pick up a layer of hair, like this top layer, and spray a little bit, and then pick up the next layer, spray a little bit, or spray it into a brush if you don't want to spray it directly toward the hair, and brush it through. But it seems to be those underneath parts that can kind of get heavier with sweat and oil than the top, but you could even just do that top lighter too. Did that answer the question about application? And then different types for different hair colors. So find what works for you, whether it's hairspray or pomade or gel. Again, just preserving your loved one's dignity so they don't have the dreaded chicken butt bedhead, or if they have an appointment or someone's coming to see them, that's a great time to spend a minute doing some grooming. And it could be, it not always, and it depends on your loved one, it could be a nice time to relax and sit together and enjoy that time, potentially, depending on their temperament or the amount of time you have. Go ahead.
I actually had people coming in to do her hair. And
Oh,
then
that's
I
great.
finally gave up and got my hair cut short with the beautician, and my mother and I have the same haircut.
Well, it's great.
Because, yeah.
Well, and I was talking to the woman outside. So the booklets for caregivers, those are awesome. I said, I imagine there's people that will come to your home to cut your loved one's hair. And she said, absolutely. They'll either have you wash it or they'll just re-wet it when they get there and do a simple haircut. They said they usually don't do a lot of styling, but they'll give a quick haircut or a simple haircut. So depending on your loved one, you'll want to find what works for you. I like these little just hair clipper sets because basically, anybody can use them, and even just trimming necks between haircuts makes someone look like they're more groomed than their haircut length of time since their haircut might say. So just shaving someone's neck is a really nice way to freshen up a haircut. Even for a female with short hair, that same thing, just trimming those edges is a really nice thing to do. Quickly, I'll just say, and then you could have like a little cape for the hair cutting time or grooming time. The other thing that I had in my makeup chair that Marsden hadn't seen, and you all might have seen these, I got these when COVID came for doing makeup, so I wasn't using reusable capes anymore. These are just paper bibs, and they're available on Amazon or other places, and so this is a great thing for grooming time or meal time, and they're just little paper disposable bibs to help keep clothes clean or keep the hair off of their clothes or neck. So I'll use those as well. And then quickly I'll move on to makeup, and then we're about out of time. I think for makeup, that really depends. That's such a personal choice with your loved one. If they were a person that liked to wear red lipstick in their everyday life before they had dementia or Alzheimer's, or they weren't able to apply it for themselves, or if they were natural and it's lip balm and moisturizer, then that's awesome too. So I would say brows, a little color on the cheeks and a little something on the lips if you want to do any makeup with your loved ones. And brows, a really good neutral that is good on most people is like an ash brown. So it has it's a brown with a little bit of gray in it, and that just creates that shadow of there being brows there. So if you're unsure of what color exactly to buy, you can't go wrong with that kind of that ash brown color. Or if they're an obvious brunette, then you could get just a medium brown matte without too much red in it or being, you know, too much gray, just a nice medium brown to match their brows. And then color on their cheeks. This is just a little palette, but it shows you color. This is what I would call like a dusty pink. So it's not a bright pink, which these brights look really nice on the skin. They just show up as flushed color. They don't show up as hot pink on the cheeks. But this dusty pink looks good on most people and most skin tones. And so the same for lips. If you want just a natural lip color, that dusty pink is a great way to go. Burt's Bees makes those little tinted lip balms, so that's something that's a little extra without being, you know, full on lipstick. So
They don't even know you're putting lipstick on with that. They're just putting chapstick on.
yeah, there you go. And you're protecting their lips and giving them a little bit of moisture. If you're using lip balm, if you're using lipstick, that is a little drying on the lips, so you'll want to use some of the Aquaphor, which I use frequently on lips, on myself and in my makeup chair, and that's a really good product. Any questions about grooming loved ones?
We have your email address here. We can just email questions to you.
For sure. You've got my email address, so I'll email you if you want that sheet with the actual links on it, so you can just click. You're welcome to email me. And then, but most of those products have the full name on them, so you could search for them on any website or Amazon, and that should take you to the product that I've listed. But I'm happy to answer any individual questions or anything that you forgot to ask or were too shy to ask. I'm happy to help. All right, thank you. I got a question in the back.
Did you address shaving at all?
You know, we didn't go over shaving too much, but and that would be a great place for input here. I would imagine that an electric shaver, if your person doesn't mind that, you know, the hum of the electric, would be a safe way to shave versus a razor, depending on, you know, if they're going to move or things. But like applying warm heat or right after the bath or shower is a good time because the pores are open, the hair is softer. So that's a good time to shave. The electric shaver could be done anytime. I don't know if that really answered your question.
I took care of my father, and I was told to put a nice towel of heat first, and then shave him.
Yeah,
And
that
then
makes sense.
bathing afterwards, because you get the little tiny hairs.
Ah,
So
good
then
idea.
getting the whole wash over.
So she suggested shaving before the bath, applying the warm, moist, like a washcloth or a towel. And so any of those little hairs that fall from shaving, they get washed off in the bath. And I think that's a great
You've got
tip.
to bathe them in the bed anyway. You start with the shaving.
Okay, start with
That's what I
shaving.
was told, because
You
my
just
dad.
use an electric nose and ear.
Yeah, and this little kit has that on there. So
Those grow fast when they get older.
yeah, and so it has a little nose trimmer, and it just trims. It doesn't yank the hair. So these are a really good tool for ears and noses.
Yeah, and you do that before the bath.
Yeah, good
I'll have
idea.
to learn that.
Yeah, learn the tips.
Is there another tool that can be used for nose trimming besides that?
Ooh.
Because mine is really flinchy because of the noise. He's fine everywhere else with all the noises. He's fine with his ears, but when it comes to the nose, it's like really.
Ooh, that is a really good question.
I would check out different brands if you can, because I found a little shaver that's really small and it doesn't make any noise at all. And so I can use it for my grandson, and he doesn't even know I'm trimming some final little details. It's just they can make a little small one.
Yeah, ones made specifically for the nose, I think, are quieter.
Well, you might buy them and then take them back if they're too loud.
Yeah.
But, you know.
That's the same thing. That is actually, I'm so glad you said that, and then I think we're probably out of time. is most stores have a cosmetic money back guarantee. So if you buy something for your loved one and it doesn't work, save the packaging and the receipt. And I always say bring it back within a reasonable amount of time, a few weeks, and you can get your money back. So if it's a makeup product or a skincare product and they're too sensitive for it or it's just not going to work, take it back and get your money back.
Company, but Sally's seems really nice. Sally's is a company.
Yeah. All right, thank you. Thank you for coming.